What is truth? This question was asked 2,000 years ago by a man called Pilate, and I believe it's even more relative today. In this brave new world of AI, fake images, what is real and what is not is becoming more and more difficult to recognize. The old adage that the camera never lies is now obsolete. Even the truth can be seen in misinformation and conspiracy. It comes to pass, as it were, and the lies can be seen as truth, just as we saw through all the COVID propaganda. Today, the world is at war. With many civil regional conflicts around the globe, just as the civil war in Myanmar, the border war in Pakistan, Sudan, Nigeria, Yemen, the list is long. There is much unrest around the world. Along, of course, with the major broader wars of the Ukraine and Russia, now the USA-Israel war in Iran, Venezuela, now possibly Cuba and Greenland are all in the headlines or in the sights, as it were. All of these conflicts are complicated from an outsider's perspective, with who knows what is truth and who really knows what goes on behind closed doors in the corridors of power. We know that corruption is at the center of much. We also know that power corrupts, and absolute power absolutely corrupts. And of course, money and black gold, oil, with the added complexity of radical theology. Now, you take Iran, for instance. We all know that radical Islam is not only dangerous, but evil, with suicide bombers, terrorist attacks throughout the world, and even within the Arab world among themselves, the atrocities carried out among the Shiites and the Sunnis. And I know it's complicated, and it's very hard to understand from a Westerner's perspective. We're also aware that Iran was a major training and sending regime for terrorists, be it Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, etc. And most would agree that terror attacks from anyone, be it religious fanatics, the far left or the far right, is just plain evil. Blowing up people, shooting people, driving into innocent people, adults and children, obviously it's just all horrendous and needs to be stopped. One could ask, how do you wipe out Hamas in Gaza without leveling the place? I mean, it looks terrible, all the buildings and people misplaced, but how do you do it? Yet, how many innocent people have to die or be misplaced and have their homes destroyed to justify the actions? It is happening right now in Lebanon. I've got friends in Lebanon, and innocent people are being killed and displaced in Israel's endeavor to destroy Hezbollah. I know they want to destroy terrorist groups, but innocent people get caught up in the conflict. War is a terrible thing. But I know this is so complicated because, as we know, terrorist groups live and work among the population. They hide behind the innocent. Which brings me to Iran. Now, I'm not saying that the present regime, or can I just say the regime that just got killed in this war, does or did not need removing. But as we know, people there are divided, just like most nations around the world today. Some Iranians supported the Ayatollah, and my pronunciation isn't great, but you know who I'm talking about, the supreme leader who held ultimate political and religious authority in Iran. Others wanted him removed, killed, which of course is what happened. But as we know, you cut the head off a snake and another appears. This immense power, stems from the Shah Islamic doctrine, and you're not going to change their minds. You only have to take a look at what's happening in the UK and in much of Europe today. A little bit like it was like the Trojan horse, which, was all the immigrants were welcomed in, the refugees were welcomed in, and now the genie's out of the box. I'm not talking about law-abiding people. I'm talking about the radicals that infiltrate. And as we know, we're told that the Iranian war is now over the possibility or the probability of Iran manufacturing nuclear weapons. And again, most would agree that a country that cries death to Israel or death to the USA or death to anyone else for that matter would be a tremendous threat if they had gained nuclear weapons. But were they close? What is the truth? I remember, and some of you may remember, when Al Gore predicted that the world would all be over, because of global warming by 2010 and the disasters that would happen in the world. And they were just completely wrong. And it was their fear-mongering in their agenda. Now, I want you to take a look at this clip from Bibi Netanyahu talking of Iran's nuclear threat over the past 3 decades.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year. It could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb. Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
So what is truth? What is the truth? Likewise, you may remember Operation Midnight Hammer, directed by the President of the US. Just last year, 2025, Sunday, June the 22nd, at 2:15 a.m. in the morning, USA bombed the nuclear sites of Iran, and it was hailed as a huge victory. We were told that they obliterated Iran's nuclear sites, putting them back decades behind rebuilding any nuclear facilities. The attack involved 125 US military aircraft and targeted 3 nuclear facilities, and I'll get these names pronounced wrong. I apologize. Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. Completely obliterated them, so we're told. Then, of course, this year, February 28th, 2026, we see Israel and USA joining forces to attack Iran again. And again, we were told that it was over the nuclear threat. Obviously, the average person is thinking, I thought we were told that the nuclear threat was totally destroyed. So what is the truth? It's a little like the weapons of mass destruction that President Bush told the world Iraq had to justify his actions to go to war there, only to find out that they didn't. So is this over a regime change in Iran like Iraq? And it's fair to say that might have needed to happen, but it hasn't worked out too well around the world in the past. And with the US being dragged into wars, be it Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, Persian Gulf Wars, etc. So is it over the nuclear threat, so we're told, or regime change, or is it over the oil? One cannot help but think about Venezuela, who along with Iran has much of the world's oil. In fact, Venezuela, number 1 of stocks and oil, and Iran being number 3 after Saudi Arabia. Black gold is often referred to. Or is the US there because of Israel? In March 2026, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio sparked controversy when he suggested that U.S. strikes on Iran were timed to preempt Israel's action because Israel were going in and therefore the United States had to go in with them. He did try to backpedal that statement, by the way. So what is truth? Will the average person really know? The media can't be trusted, let's be honest. They're so biased, it's not funny. Governments, unfortunately, can't be trusted. I mean, the globalists can't be trusted. Who can be trusted today? Well, let me close by saying the person who was asked by Pilate, what is truth, had already proclaimed that he was the way, the truth, and the life. You know, the world has become so divided, so polarized over so many issues. And let's be honest, the Middle East, especially today, is so complicated. It's been complicated since Abraham walked the earth. But take it from me, man does not have the answer to peace, even with all the best intentions of Donald Trump's border peace. You know, the United Nations are a joke. But there's only one who can be trusted, only one who can sort out, only one who knows the whole truth, for he alone is truth. And like it or not, he is coming again to sort out the world's affairs. And I believe he is coming again very soon. My question is, are you ready for the return of the Lord Jesus Christ? Because we're living in the days that he predicted, wars and rumors of wars, and many other predictions that he made we see coming to pass today. So my question is make peace, or my comment and my suggestion and my plea is make peace with God while you still can.